Welcome back to another episode of the NES Experience. We've had a busy 2 weeks since we've last seen you guys, and I guess seen slash heard. Well, you guys hear us. We don't see you. But it's been a busy 2 weeks nonetheless. I've lost about 10 pounds, been jumping rope every day. It's been fantastic. I have made some pierogi to celebrate because homemade pierogi is always delicious. Ned, what have you been up to these last 2 weeks?
Hey, just remember excessive jump roping increases the risk of patellar tendonitis, and pierogies are liquid sugar, which get metabolized the same as sweet tarts and pixie sticks. So, although those dopamine levels will go through the roof when you eat them, the cortisol levels that are going to be released to help you store fat are going to be right there.
Wait, there's no sugar in pierogi.
Your initial taste buds don't feel that, but your blood sugar levels do.
Well, nonetheless, what a busy 2 weeks it's been.
I
Uh,
guess I just pissed all up in your Cheerios.
well, it's okay. You always need a bit of a reality check every now and then. And when you are an athlete, you're always getting your reality checked because you're always being evaluated. And that is what this episode is about this week at the NES Experience. The fact that you're always being evaluated, whether you know it or not. It is a big, big message that was hammered home to me when I was a kid. And, it is something that I think Ned also agrees is very important to keep in mind. So, do you kind of want to tell us maybe the first time you kind of heard the phrase or whatever that you're always being evaluated?
Yes, and I mean part of the reason I'm talking about this, hopefully my athletes will, I don't know, maybe tune in, listen, but um for me, I didn't really hear it until I was out of college. I was an intern at IMG Academies, and actually I was an intern, I was an assistant coach because I already did my internship. With that being said, I was evaluated for the job. There were five interns um, when we got there, and there was a rank order, 1 through 5. Your best interns, all the coaches are basically watching you go through things and coach athletes. And your internship class is rank ordered from 1 to 5. So I was the big 5. I stunk. I was out of shape. I pulled my groin. I think I had 3 injuries on day 3 because it's basically boot camp, and they took us through every active dynamic warm up exercise in our database. So we did hundreds and hundreds of exercises for like 4 hours straight in a 90-degree bubble with no fucking water. And my big 300-pound ass was like, man, I'm not supposed to be doing this. So I was being evaluated, which is part of the reason why I was the worst intern of the 5, was because my inability to learn the running mechanics as fast as they needed me to be able to coach them. With that being said, I ended up being the best intern out of the 5 after outworking everyone, and people randomly, one kid decided you want to be a bodybuilder, so now I only had to beat 4 people out. With that being said, I was a graduate assistant there. They had 3 positions. They evaluated people to select 3 individuals to stay there for an extra 12 to 15 months to continue to learn and develop as a coach. And I was fortunate enough to be one of those 3. With that being said, when we were going through the NFL draft prep, we had to teach the guys we had sports psychologists also, but trying to explain to them that the whole process is an interview and you're always being evaluated, which means your interactions that are on the field, if you have your hands on your knees, that shows you're tired and you didn't prepare because you're going to look negatively, for that. There is a meat market component of the NFL Combine where you stand on a stage in some little skivvy spandex shorts, and these guys are taking pictures of you. I mean, now they're just taking snapshots and then sending and then uploading them all. But I have sheets back from 2009, 2010, and they are staring at you because we didn't have all this fancy technology, and they are writing down things. For instance, one of my guys, his evaluation was Fred Flintstone feet and bitch tits. Those were two of his the things that they decided to write down for him. Now, in the first week, I tried to explain to him, like, you have large breasts, and this is a meat market. They're gonna be, you want some lift to them, all right. And he looked like he was a dumpster fire when he took his shirt off. But you could only give people take him to the water. You can't fucking make him drink it. I don't know what you want to use, but I was like, so of course the agent throws me the report, and it's like, Fred Flintstone feet and bitch tats. And I'm like, look, man, the kid won't fucking get off the fried chicken. What do you want me to tell you? He's out of control. He'd have to live in my bed. You can't let this kid out of your sight for a second. With that being said, he didn't get drafted. Maybe it's because he had Fred Flintstone feet and bitch tats. That's why we prepare and don't put ourselves in a situation where we could be called like that. But they just say mean. I have to find this sheet. It's somewhere. But it is horrifying. It is just, if you release this sheet now, I mean, I should sell this sheet to TMZ with the things that they would put on these sheets and the mean things that they would say: barrel chest, thick ass, nice ass. It is, I mean, it's bizarro. Anyways, so you're always being evaluated. So we had to go over how to make eye contact and handshakes, and show how your body is supposed to be when you're interested in someone or when you're interested in something, and closing your body off, and how you don't want to do that because you want to be approachable. And, there's an interviewing component. Once again, all, evaluations. And then we're going through evaluating right now. So you're still laughing about the combine guy thing.
Yeah, I'm just picturing some NFL scout just like looking at him and just being like, like this guy has tits. I gotta write this down.
Very common.
People need to know.
Yeah, a little disturbing. Anyways, so normally we do this in the intro for shout outs, but shout out to Q1 Johnson, who got an offer from IU, which makes his offer total to 19. He's been evaluated for the past 4 months and has absolutely fucking killed everything. That's why he's got 19 offers. And his younger brother, Q2, I'm not going into the Q1, Q2 thing. I think that came up on a previous podcast. Q2 just got an offer from Boston College and also got an IU offer. So Q2, he did the camp season perfectly. His last one was Penn State this past Friday. And there were things, because of the evaluation component, things that he needed to do. He had to run under a 4.4440. And he had to basically create separation and dominate in the one-on-ones. And if he did those two things, he would have got his Penn State offer. He ran a 4.40 and a 4.42. And that is just as good as that he did his first combine in April. So that's the longest combine season ever. But anytime you can get your kid who went through 10 combines and you can get him a little break and have him finish with a 4.40 in front of them as a sophomore, he did great. With that being said, he dropped 2 balls. The evaluation process was over. So it was, he did not do what he needed to do to get the immediate offer. Now it's a waiting game. I think good things are going to happen. But you can even be evaluated and it doesn't work out. So NES has 4 guys in the NECBL, which is rated as the second best behind the Cape Summer Baseball League. And one of the guys, so we had one guy, Billy Sullivan, he was an all-star, but there was another guy that should have been an all-star, everyone's favorite new Fairfield pitcher, former Southern Connecticut State University Owl. Their season just ended tonight. 0.86 earned run average in 21 innings, 18 appearances. So that's real hard. that's like crazy good, but he's a reliever and they shit on relievers, which means part of his evaluation process is they're looking at the amount of innings that he did and the fact that is not as glorious of a position, but he's being evaluated, and hopefully he gets an end of the year award. Also, Tommy Hughes had like a sub-2, and then we got a late call up, Chad Fideli from Southern. He ended up moving up to, not to give my shameless NES athlete plugs, but never had 4 guys in that league before, and especially 1, 2, and they're all coming from D2 places. So 4 D2 guys in an NECBL league, all either getting awards or should have gotten awards, and one guy that theoretically shouldn't even been in there went in and just pitched those. That's some good evaluating going on right now. So I just want to give recommendations, because I get athletes that their attitude isn't right. It's like, fuck the coach or fuck this university or this and that. And it's like they think that everything is just going to come to them and they can do and act however they want, and that these magical recruiters are just going to magically see them and magically want them. And the answer is that you don't get shit in life like that. So they aren't doing what they need to do to make allies and network, which are the things I'm going to talk about, to help them kind of get to their end result. So the first thing you got to do is understand you're being evaluated by every coach that you play for. Whether you like them or not, they are a necessary evil. If you decide that you don't like the coach, you still got to understand that if you're going to the right school and you reclass, this is my go reclass and go to Hamden Hall plug. If you do these things, you have coaches that have the knowledge and have the network and the contacts to be able to get you to the next level. If they don't have that ability to do that, then you probably shouldn't go there. But they're trying to help you. But going through that process, if you're a big pain in the ass, they're going to be less motivated to want to do the things to help you to get, to that point. Your relationship with them plays a role ultimately where you're going to end up going. Now, if you're a baller and there's just that elite 5-star guy that's going to get to go out, it's different. But most people aren't in that situation where they have that much leverage to be a complete douchebag and get away with it. Most of the people that I help are kind of, on that lower end. So, as far as networking, you want to understand that this is a relationship. You have to water your seeds or water your offers. So don't put yourself into a box, the D1 box, and not water the D3 people. Everybody knows everybody, and you can piss other people off. So you don't want to make it look like you're too good for them. They're evaluating you and your ability to communicate with them to show interest. They don't want somebody who thinks, they're too good for our school. They don't want that. So whether you're into a school or you're not into school, you tell them that you're into a school, because that they are part of your interest is part of their evaluation of you. And athletes get too much into, I'm only talking to the big people, and they're ignoring. I have a kid right now who didn't even tell me he had a D3 offer. This kid has no film. He purely got the offer based off of his excellent 40. That's the NES plug. And his performances at these combines. Nobody listens to this shit, but he's a kicker. And he's getting recruited to be a DB and a skill player. And he has an offer. That's awesome. You've never ran a route or covered a dude in a real game, and you got an offer. Hasn't talked to him. Didn't tell anybody. And is kicking rocks because he wants the Cornell offer. Like, that's not a good outlook. I have to have a conversation with him. But he should be up that D3 school's ass. I've never wanted to play anywhere like this. I definitely see myself as somebody who would like to go in there and be able to step in and make an impact. I mean, you just sell it. and be into them. That's going to help. So you're in a relationship. Relationships take work. Go to their games when they invite you, phone calls, emails. Don't bug the shit out of them. But make them feel special. It's this thing. You're in a relationship. They're going to make you feel special. You make them feel special. You get offers from them, then get offers from other people, then ultimately pick what you want to do. But you have to, and the other end of it, I saw a kid with a Michigan offer as a freshman, and he never spoke to Michigan for 2.5 years. He thought that he was going to get 19 more offers after getting his freshman year Michigan offer. He ended up not getting any. Now he's sitting there in the summer of his junior year. He calls up Michigan and they're like, yeah, so that's not the thing anymore. That's not a thing, but we want you to come up. We'd like to see you. Gone. Because that's the number one most important person to network with, Michigan. If Michigan likes you, you talk to Michigan all the time. Honestly, if Michigan wants you probably should have took the offer at that point in time, because that's a great deal. But now he's not in that. It all played out. The end result is he ended up having to walk on at BC, and then the walk-on process is when you walk on, you're kind of at the bottom of the totem pole, and then how long are you going to sit and wait there to try and see if you get a break going your way in play? Now he's retired. But it's not building your network. And that's something that a lot of times athletes don't do. What do you think about your network?
It all is about networking and the relationship when it comes to recruiting, for sure. It seems like, well, at least from my perspective, and what I was told, the coaches are going to be the people you spend the most amount of time with during your college career. Like, it's not going to be your girlfriend. It's not going to be your friends. It's going to be the coaches. It's going to be pretty much every day in season. It's going to be a ton in the off season. You're going to see them all the time. You have position meetings with them. You have meetings just as a team, offense, defense, like they're going to be in your face. So it really does matter a lot, having a good relationship with them. And that starts with them recruiting you. So like you said, you don't have to bug them, but you do want to show that you're interested in them because they want to know that. And vice versa, like you also don't want to just like lead a school on or whatever like that and kind of just like be like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna come up, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then just not show up or like blow them off, because that's just kind of like telling them to go screw themselves. And then they're gonna tell other people, like, they all played together, they all coached together, so it is just one big vast recruiting network. You kind of got to figure your way around.
Right. So networking big. The next one I talked about earlier, having the relationship with your head coach. I believe in being flexible, being versatile, which means, I know, and we've argued about this on podcasts before, if you go into the football team and you're a running back and they want you to play linebacker, go play linebacker. It's fine to want to play running back, and you'll probably play both, but you never know long term. The biggest problem with this is quarterbacks who can't be anything but a quarterback. Sorry. But what could happen is you end up for college getting recruited at the position that you didn't want to play in high school. But by saying, I only want to do this and I'm going to do this, you are now going to make it harder for your coach. Therefore, making his job harder is going to make him not be all about you. He's going to not be all about you. And then that is going to impair your ability to get on the field, to make the highlights, films to send to the schools, to get the offers. So what I always say, do more, be better. Every coach likes the kid that works super hard and tries to be better than everybody else, because they set the tone. This guy carries the team, and he brings everybody up. These are all things that anybody that's a coach that trains, develops, works with the skills of athletes understand, that you like the energy person. So energy is, unlike our podcast, energy is something that is contagious, and that makes your coach happier. And it makes, because when you're a coach, it's hard to bring energy all the time. I mean, I'm fucking tired, but in my sessions, not my podcasts, I bring a whole bunch of energy, sometimes negative, but that's okay. Because bad energy is sometimes better than no energy. I'll still say bad energy. It's not bad energy. I mean, people don't fucking listen to me. Like, some people I don't have to yell at at all. But if you don't want to listen, I'm going to have a whole bunch of problems with you. Be better. Listen. And if you want to have leverage on your team, be the best person on the field. So if you want to get away with more, and if you want the coach to like you or have to like you, just be the best person on the team. And then you're going to get more opportunities.
I think it's kind of like you said, you have to work to kind of convince your coaches that you're the guy, and they're going to want to step up to bat for their guy. So, and you want them to tell college coaches that, oh man, like, I got this guy.
And the high school coach doesn't want to put himself in a position to where he has to put his name on the line for you if there's a high probability or whatever chance there is that you're not going to pan out or that you're a degenerate. So if you convince the coaches that you're going to work hard and you're never late, it's an easy thing to sell. And they're going to work harder, I believe, because you're going to make them look good. That's the benefit of you working your ass off and being really good, is if they get you there and you continue to excel, they look better. But nobody wants to put, and I hear this, high school coaches, they tell me their input, and it's like, then they say, I don't want my name on that shit. He goes there, shits the bed, bitches and complains, doesn't do anything. Coach is going to be pissed because they have to maintain those relationships. If I'm, a high school football coach and I send 20 guys to Southern Connecticut State University and 19 out of the 20 are awesome, me as a coach have increased my leverage and my power to influence people to get them to give people offers. If you send dead wood and they don't pan out, you can burn relationships and they're less likely to take you serious when you got the next guy. So, but it all starts with you, showing yourself off to be able to get them to talk highly of you.
For sure, it does. It all starts, you gotta have the goods to back it up. And then the easiest way to kind of make things easier on yourself is just, like you said, do more, be better. So is there anything else, you want to add? I know there's, is there any like kind of rank orders or anything like that in these networks?
Well, I mean, just looking at one network, there is a coach and intern all-time power ranking in NES. The list hasn't been updated for about 3 years, but I've overall had less coaches, but you're being compared, and I teach this to every intern and new employee that comes in. Like, these were the things that the last guy did right. These were the things that the last guy did wrong. And at some point in time, you're going to come here, you're going to get developed, and then I'm going to say who is better, A or B. Now, what should happen, because everyone always gets, I'm 20 years deep into filling everybody in. So 5 years in, or 2 years in, you only had very few life experiences of what to do and not to do a good job. Whereas now you have 20 years of stories, which should mean my interns and new coaches should be better than everyone else because they get a blueprint of what not to do. And if they're all going to be rank and power ranked and you don't make yourself like any of the other ones and you learn from their mistakes, you'll ultimately be the number one power ranked employee in NES history. Correct? Not the case. The crazy thing about it is out of the top 5 all-time NES coaches, 4 out of the 5 came from the years of 2005 to 2011. So 12 years, it's been 12 years to get somebody at that level. But that's not fair because they could have learned from all those people and been better. But people, this goes back to they don't want to be better. Path of least resistance, and burnout. I was reading something today that talked about, it was a performance strength and conditioning network where we're all a bunch of dudes that sit around and post and talk shit. And one of the guys, which is crazy because the guy looked like he was about 60, he was like, one of the big things that coaches are the most frustrated about is burnout factor. And basically they go into this field and they hit it hard for whatever, 2 to 5 years, and they get burned out. So this guy was saying it's my fault and I'm contributing to new people in the field because I demand so much and it's so grueling and it's so hard that I am running them out of here, running them out of the field because I'm stressing them out too much to try and make them better and good at their job.
Well, if you can't stand the heat, you gotta get out of the kitchen. I mean, sometimes people just gotta be ran.
Yeah, but I mean, the reality of it is within your business that you work for, you're evaluated, you're ranked, everybody's ranked. Sorry, that's life. And I'm evaluated on it. My athletes are evaluated. An athlete starts with me and they're evaluating me. Like, do I like this guy? Do I think this is going to help me? The parents are evaluating me. Oh, this is a weird hillbilly from Indiana. Man, I wouldn't probably mess with him. Big guy, beard. Not trying to fuck with that guy. They're evaluating me. Oh, my kid's getting better. Oh, that guy might not know what he's talking about. Oh, that guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. All evaluations. Come on, people. Come on, athletes, young people. Get in the game. So that's all I got about that. So now you have to hit me with the Q&A. I'm ready for the Q&A.
Yep. Yeah. It all counts. It all matters. And today's Q&A is brought to you hypothetically, best word in the English language, by Major League Baseball. Because the question is, why are there so many more injuries in today's game than there were like 50 years ago in the majors? You know, Judge is just coming back from what can only be described as a turf toe, but injuries are occurring all the time in the majors, it seems. So is that the case, or am I just a crazy person?
Well, you brought it up and it sounded like it was pretty official. So it is fact that there are more injuries now than there were 50 years ago in MLB. Why? There's a couple reasons that I'm going to go over. One, I think technology. Ooh, everybody loves technology. So, I mean, there's the good of technology and reading and research because it allows us to make bigger, faster humans that generate more force. We're able to take them through body analysis and figure out mechanically what are the best way to do things to elicit a response and get them to perform at a higher level. You got PEDs, and those are still going on in many different forms, and all of those are going to increase your risk of injury, which we did a podcast on. But what we're doing is we're playing the same games for the same duration for the same amount of months a year. We're playing at a higher, more dangerous level. And what we do is we have a bunch of genetic freaks that are out here, like rockets in football or throwing rockets in baseball, and it's putting more stress on the joints, tendons, ligaments, therefore increasing the risk of, getting hurt. And then I'm blaming too, why not throw the social media in there? So, between the online programs and the throwing programs, this is baseball. So what you're doing is you have a bunch of people that are taking in information that are not qualified to process the information and apply it to themselves in a safe manner. So you get guys that are in Major League Baseball that are taking things and doing random programs, not going to name drop all these various, what I believe is unsafe programs. Because when people are sitting in their basement creating all of these things, there's a lot of different things that work that can get somebody to throw a ball harder or to run faster. But they're just taking these clips into pieces. It's the performance meatloaf. And they're just throwing this shit into what they're doing. Like, they're dictating what they're going to do and what piece they're going to take. And what's happening is the most dangerous exercises are the ones that are being shown on social media, because those are the flashiest and the highest level progression with your, insert your, NFL guy that never made it to the NFL who was super athletic, and have him do level 17 plyos, and, you're going to roll that shit out. You start taking that, and what you're doing is you're spending your off season actually increasing your risk of getting hurt. So the big thing is, why are we doing things at a higher level than we were? Because of technology. But why are we, hurting ourselves more than we've ever did? Same thing, technology. And then, another part of it is the inability for people to change the mindset of how much you should play and how much you should rest and how much total activity that you've been doing, which goes into overtraining and all the things that we talk about there. So, and I mean, I want to talk about LeBron James and load management, but if you are producing higher levels of force and you're playing the game at a different level and you're getting hit harder, all of these things require more recovery. If you're, you guys run around in the 60s playing football. I mean, honestly, I think I could have been an NFL football player if Ned was ripped out of 20. I can't use 2023 because I'm 43, but we'll say when I'm fucking 30 years old. 10 years ago, if Ned got implanted into 1960, I would be in the WWF, because if anybody has seen me with my shirt off, I'm the classic 1980s WWF big guy. That's really not a compliment for me, because the guys in the 80s, it's not like they were all cut up and shit. They were just big, large, massive individuals with a generally flat stomach, but not really ripped up. Because these genetic specimens are performing at a higher level, doing other things faster, they need more time off, and they're not getting that. And baseball needs less games, and they're not getting that. And, we know that NBA is starting with the load management shit. And I don't know if did they determine if the load management and playing less games, aren't people getting hurt more? I feel like you use that as ammo against me in a prior podcast.
I feel like they might be, yeah. But I don't have the documents with me on hand to back it up.
So with basketball, I don't know if it is the load management thing also, but also there's more big athletic dudes out there, doing things that just increase their risk of Anthony Davis. Dude's always hurt, straight trash. But unfortunately he's not durable. So he's meant to play 30 games, give him like one game a week. And you have to be able to, if we're not changing these things, you're just going to see more and more injuries. But the big thing is because the only thing that matters now is throwing 100. They don't care about shit else. So all these dudes that throw 100 are all doing a lot of the high risk shit where you blow your arm out repeatedly. So it's like throw, get to my D1 scholarship, blow my arm out, get that shit repaired, go out there, try and get back to 100, and then get drafted. Go throw 100 and close your eyes and throw 100 and then blow your arm out again, because as soon as that your arm isn't blown out again, you're going to get pushed all the way up to AAA, and that's your quickest path. So what you have is the world doing same thing, exit velocity. You got to hit 95 miles an hour off hard contact, middle of the zone, exit velocity over fucking 110, launch angle, this and that. So all people are doing is training, and I do this because this is part of what I had to do for Justin, who got drafted. It's just all we're doing is training to hit bombs. Now, my training is to prevent a lot of the things that are happening to these guys. Oblique injuries are very common with position players, and hip flexors with all the force that's being generated and how specialized everything has become. So that, in my opinion, is why it's happening. Thoughts?
Fantastic stuff. I think that'll probably about do it. Ned does not have anything else for us today. Ned is done. He has said his piece. It is over. The NES experience is over. But you guys, the viewers and listeners, are not done. Like and subscribe to our podcast. We appreciate you guys listening. Maybe even give it a little share. Maybe you'll learn something today. It's good to go into a podcast having learned something. We're not a podcast that's just going to talk about gross murder stuff and describe terrible things that I have to get exposed to because that's what Sam listens to all the time. And now I can't sleep. So, instead you can put us on and we'll give you knowledge about strength and conditioning and sports performance training. So tune back in 2 weeks for a new episode of the NES Experience.